All right, the regular meeting of the mayor and the city council, city of Portland, Louisiana, today is Wednesday, April 12th, 2023. It's 5:30 p.m. City council chambers, third floor, Portland City Hall. Each person must decide before entering the chamber which agenda item they wish to comment on. If they are not seated in the chamber when the agenda item is heard, they will be notified by an officer to enter the council chamber to address the agenda item. Agenda, please silence all electronic devices. Agenda item number 1, call to order. Agenda item number 2, pledge of allegiance. Please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I definitely want my phone to go out here before this.
Agenda item 3, roll call.
Mr. Brown?
Here.
Ms. Gordon?
Here.
Mr. Hubble?
Here.
Mrs. Lacy? Present. Mr. Riviere?
Here.
Mr. Corn, Mayor.
Thank you. Agenda item 4, approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of March 9th, 2023.
I make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second. I got a motion by Councilwoman Gordon, second by Councilman Brown. Any objections? Hearing none.
Brown?
Yes.
Ms. Gordon?
Yes.
Hubble?
Yes.
Lacy? Present. Mr. Riviere?
Here.
Yes.
Are y'all the same meeting we in?
Not really. We are though, we come.
Council, I got a request from Ms. Bootsy Crochet. She wants to make an amendment to the agenda item to make a comment on a road condition within the city. I need a motion to,
I'll move.
Second. Got a motion by Councilman Hubble, second by Councilman Riviere. Any objections? Hearing none.
Brown?
Yes.
Ms. Gordon?
Yes.
Mr. Hubble?
Yes.
Ms. Lacy? Yes. Mr. Riviere?
Yes.
Motion passed.
We'll make this agenda item 5A. Agenda item 5, public comments. Comments from the public are allowed in accordance with the Louisiana Revised Statute 42:11, section 2 to 34, specifically limited to agenda items to be considered during the meeting, 3 minutes per topic and 15 minutes. 3 minutes per person and 15 minutes per topic. Agenda item 5A, hear from Ms. Bootsy Crochet in reference to road condition.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Council, for letting me speak. Ms. Roche, would you pass that out to the next? The item I'd like to speak to y'all about, you can better understand what I'm referring to in here.
I'm sorry.
I was hoping Lance Joseph would be here because I contacted him back in June of last year. And I live on Georgia, right behind Hubble, as most of y'all know. And I mentioned to him that the street was always wet, the pavement was always wet there, and I felt like there might have been a leak or something. So I requested that they look into it and see what the problem was. Well, I didn't hear from him after a couple of weeks, and the mayor can possibly remember that I got in touch with him and said I hadn't heard, could you check into it? So later that day, I did hear from Mr. Joseph, and I'm gonna read, there was some other issues I mentioned to him, but this is what he said. That they investigated, the city did, investigated the puddling of water on A Street behind Hubbins and did not find a leak. We will continue to monitor the location in due course. Thank you for your concern. Now, I'm a concerned citizen, and I'm seeing there's an issue here. And if you'll see by that, the street is starting to crack. We have lots of delivery trucks coming in and out of Hubbins. When you come from Hubbins and turn left on 8th, you gotta run into it, right over it. Now, Richard, I don't know when I sent the email, if you ever looked at it, have you ever had any discussion with anybody? Or what do you do with a situation like this? Just let it fall into the ground and then you dig it up and replace the street, or what do you do?
Well, Ms. Crochet, according to this photo, it's not a pothole, it's a cracking of the road, so, I mean. it's-
But it wasn't like that last year. I mean, gradually with the weight of the vehicles and everything, it's not gonna get any better, right? If it's leak, and he says they found no leak. So what's called, and I don't care if it's 90 degrees for 3 days, it's wet, it's always got water there.
Well, we'll put this on one of our roads to do a rehab to, once we get to, but right now,
I'm kinda curious, if your people are out on the streets, you know, your city trucks, and they see an issue like this, they don't investigate or check into it or tell a supervisor, it looks like we got a problem on A Street.
well, I mean, maybe they did, Ms. Crochet, we're aware of it, but like I said, it's not a pothole.
He,
So all it is a cracking of the asphalt surface.
Yeah, I thought that
So
was-
what I do is refer to my Department of Public Works Supervisor, Mr. Darrell Lewis, and we'll look into it.
Okay. Now, this has been 8 months. How long do you think you'll find out? 'Cause I'd love to know an answer. I know you're not committed to give me one, but I'd like to know. I've waited 8 months and now it's starting to crack. What's gonna happen next month?
Yeah, well, I'll let you know.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Bootsy, that's on 8th Street,
It's
it's
8th
not on
Street.
Georgia.
No, it's right behind Hubbins in front of Beulah Simpson's house, which was recently sold. And I'm sure the people who bought the house would prefer not to have a pothole develop in front of their house, but
Excuse me, you say you think that the cause of this is because of the weight of the trucks, the
No.
delivery truck that's coming in and out of Hubble?
no, what I'm saying is, if it's constant water, pooling, and I mean, it's pooling, it's always wet. I don't care what time of the year, it's always wet there. So if it stays wet, and you've got the weight of vehicles passing there daily, and you've got a lot of trucks coming out of Hubbins that make deliveries, that heavy, and the coke truck, and whatever other kind of things there are, it's got to affect that asphalt. Now, I'm not an engineer, but correct me if I'm wrong. Wouldn't you think the weight would continue to cause a problem and have water collect there and then end up with a pothole?
I think we should address the problem first. And first we have, in order to do that, we gotta assess to see what's going on. I don't think the cracking is the problem. I think the water is the problem, if that's what you're basically saying. So we first have to understand where the water coming from. Because if not, and you just cover up that, then you just put a Band-Aid over the street. So it look like before we even get to the fixing of the
Miss
street, maybe
Lacy,
they could just see
I don't
what's
want to
going on with
interrupt
the
you,
water.
but I read, this is an email from Lance Joseph.
Okay.
They investigated the puddling of the water on A Street behind Hubbins and did not find a leak. We will continue to monitor the location. Now, that was June of last year. Here we are, April, and now the street's cracking, it's only getting worse. Right, Mr. Joseph? So I would like for you to look at it. I mean, I know the water is the issue. You can't put something on the street. If the water is still coming through, it's gonna do something to the street.
And I mean, I'm just only going by what you said. You said 3 days, 90 degree weather, and you still have water in that area.
All
So that's
summer.
something to, you know.
Clerice, I can vouch for Ms. Clerice, because I see it all the time. Leaking roads.
I let the mayor know, June of last year. And Mr. Joseph did, June of last year, and I read exactly what he wrote, right here highlighted. They will monitor this location. If it's getting worse, what's the monitoring? Just watch it? Let's go.
All right, agenda item 6.
I think we need to address this just gradually. But listen, the email was sent. We sent water and gas out. It did not indicate a leak in the area. And as you all know, it is customary for us to address street repairs in conjunction with our annual road repair program. that road repair bid is on your agenda tonight. So, every situation can't be explained. There are some unknowns out there. Where the water's coming from is not a water leak. What else it could be? I'm not an engineer either. But I will say that the road program is about to start. We do patches and remediation in conjunction with the overlay. So we'll turn it over to the engineers and see what happens. But it is under consideration.
Thank you, Mr. Douglas. Agenda item 6, presentation by the parish council members at Lady Walker in support of House Bill 14 of the 2023 regular session of the Louisiana Legislature. This is in reference to the banning of the use and sale of kratom.
I'd like to thank Mayor Lee and the council for giving me an opportunity to speak today. And I'm here on behalf of the West Baton Rouge Parish Council, and we'd ask that the City of Port Allen adopt a resolution in support of House Bill number 14 regarding kratom. I'll give a little bit of background information. I did have an opportunity to go to the town of Bruley and the town of Addis this week, so I'm getting around to the City of Port Allen to see if we can have a unified support of this House Bill. There are a few things I'd like to mention about kratom. At a very low dose, it can have stimulant-like effects, and at a very high dose of 5 grams or greater, it can have depressant or analgesic-like effects, similar to an opioid. There is no approved medical use for kratom. It's not approved by the FDA. We had a chance to meet with our district attorney, Tony Clayton, and get some legal counsel and advice on it, and everyone within our parish so far is supportive of this measure. I did speak to a number of our council members about it. We have Councilman Riviere Joseph sitting here today, and he seconded that motion. And I would ask that the City of Port Allen consider supporting this measure. There have been a number of fatalities associated with kratom, with use of combined other drugs mixed with it. Does anyone have any questions? It's a lot I can say about it. I don't want to say too much and kind of water things down. We just want to get support of this House bill. At the state level, they have a greater knowledge than we do, so I would trust their advice. I sit on the National Association of Counties Health Steering Committee, and this is something that's been on my radar for a number of months. They represent over 30,000 elected officials and 3.6 million county and parish employees across the United States. So it's an honor to sit on that committee, and this is something that's, again, been on my radar for some time. And I'm just trying to improve the quality of life here in West Baton Rouge Parish for our residents and for the young people. There's something else I'd like to mention about it that I didn't mention. We also have a letter of support from Capital Area Human Services Division. They represent a number of parishes in our area, and they provide behavioral health services. If a young person were to purchase this drug, it could affect the prefrontal cortex, which gives an individual the ability to reason and to have more of a developed control over impulses and make better judgments. So if they were to take this drug, they would be more impulsive and they wouldn't have the ability to make sound decisions. We've seen a lot of young people commit a lot of crimes in our parish. I heard our district attorney, Tony Clay, mention that a number of times in trying to do something to rectify and remediate that situation. So if we adopt this resolution, it would be a great thing. Any questions, guys?
Is this something that's bought at the store?
Yeah.
Is this something bought over the counter? Or?
Yeah, absolutely. So they're selling it in the vape shops, and the smoke shops, and over the counter, and in some gas stations. Ascension Parish adopted an ordinance prohibiting the sale or use of the drug, and so did Rapides Parish. And I was aware of that. This was months ago. But we were waiting to try and see the best course of action, whether or not we would move forward with an ordinance or a resolution. I don't want to take the ability away from those vape shops to sell their substances, but we just feel like kratom is something that shouldn't be sold in those vape shops or at gas stations, because everybody has the right to own a business and to sell products. It's not approved by the FDA, and I wouldn't agree with them selling it here in our parish or anywhere else.
How did they get to sell it? What made it legal for them to get it to sell it?
So there's only, I think, 6 states that prohibit the use of it. It's not approved by the FDA. So it's kind of like some sort of dietary supplement that people can take that's not approved.
So they make a hallucinate and all that with it?
It affects the same receptor sites in the brain that opioids affect, and it can be highly addictive. It's similar to heroin, LSD, marijuana. Those are all considered Control 1 scheduled drugs.
So how much are they selling it for over the counter if it's that popular?
I haven't looked into it. I just know that there have been some related deaths. Just recently in Livingston Parish, there's a young lady that was an addict, and her daughter grabbed her purse. I don't know if you guys remember that or not. It was a young girl. And she took those tablets and she died from it. There have been deaths all around the United States and in the state of Georgia. The chairperson of the Health Steering Committee team that I serve on is from the state of Georgia, and there have been some deaths in that area also. I've been in close contact with him on a number of Microsoft team meetings and when I attend the conferences that they put on each year.
Well, I apologize. I never heard of it or knew what it was, so I'm glad you did bring it before because I never heard it.
There's one store in Port Allen that I know of because they have a big sign in their window.
Oh, really?
Created for sale.
And this is my thing.
I never knew what it was.
What is the ATC? What are they doing about it? Because I know before you even get those type of permits to be able to sell anything, is that like in the same arena with CBD and all that? Because before you can get a permit, you have to be able to produce what you're selling.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to have registered labels.
Yeah.
So if the ATC is not against it, how could we have such control or be able to have such control over the product they're selling if they have been approved by the Alcohol and Tobacco Control?
Yeah, I can't answer that, Councilwoman. I know that the FDA has not approved it. We adopted a resolution at the legislative conference in Washington, D.C. a few months ago, and I did a presentation there and co-sponsored that resolution, and I can read it to you what we were asking Congress to do if you would like me to.
Okay.
All right. So it has here, it says, proposed policy, the National Association of Counties encourages Congress to pass legislation and our federal agency directives to fund and support efforts to research the health impacts related to the use of kratom. Federal action steps could include agency and staff resources to complete both. Number one, a review of existing research on kratom in order to provide counties, parishes, and other local government jurisdictions with immediate guidance on the most appropriate public health practices related to kratom, including harm reduction and mitigation. And then secondly, to pursue more of a comprehensive research on kratom that can inform long-term public health approaches related to the use of kratom. So we were asking that more research be done on this drug. It's not a lot of research that's out there. There was a study done by the Office of Public Health here in Louisiana with Dr. Raytard, and I contacted their office, and I have the report here that they released, and I can read a statement that they issued also a few years ago regarding this drug if you guys would like me to. Mm-hmm. Okay. So it says here, the Louisiana Department of Health, Office of Public Health, Dr. Raytard published a kratom study on the public health risk and recommendation in February of 2019. The Louisiana Department of Health recommends that kratom be banned from general use consumption in the state, with exceptions made only in the context of well-designed scientific studies with appropriate oversight and data safety monitoring boards and regulatory approval. That was their statement that they released after they did their research study. There was a salmonella outbreak reported with kratom a few years ago. I think upwards of maybe 200 people were affected, and they don't know if it was with the packaging or distribution centers here. They weren't able to identify, but it was a huge salmonella outbreak, and there have been reported deaths and abuse of this drug. I think the last thing I'd like to say is we see a lot of young people committing crimes and acts of violence, and they don't have the ability, once they start taking these drugs, to have proper reasoning with their decisions. I hear people talk about young people getting jobs or educations or skills and different things like that. This is only a soft patch and a measure to try and help. We just had a job fair down in Middleville Parish to get the word out, to help a lot of our young men and women in our community. And this is another way that I feel like would be a benefit, not only to our residents here in our parish, but across our state. So I would ask that the city of Port Allen consider adopting this resolution. It's not something for Adley, even though I kind of spearheaded the effort. It's for everyone in our community. So I would hope that you guys consider adopting a resolution similar to what we did on the parish council.
What forms does it come in? Does it come in PO form?
Oh, that's a good question.
You know,
Yeah, I have it right here, Sheriff. I'm sorry, I'll read it. It says here that there's many forms that it comes in. Let me see if I can find it here. Methods of consumption includes fresh or dry kratom leaves being chewed, powdered, brewed into tea, smoked, and kratom is also available in capsule forms. I have a lot of information, but I don't want to say too much.
You know, they can send over, each one of them have a copy of it in their packets tonight, so.
Yes,
And my
ma'am.
thing is the danger of it, look like it
shouldn't
shouldn't
be
even be
over
on the
the counter,
shelves,
yeah.
period.
Yeah, it shouldn't.
But I don't know if enough research has been done on it,
Right.
if that the fatalities that we've been seeing, I'm a little familiar.
Yes,
They're
ma'am.
trying to see what's in conjunction with them, with the use of other drugs.
Yes.
Like it's to say what's creating the sole purpose of the overdose, or was it in conjunction with another drug?
In some instances, it has been the sole drug, and then in some, it's been the combination of other drugs. I have a listing of some of the other drugs that, in the combination with, that has led to death. Yes, ma'am. And so there should be a packet of information that Mayor Lee received from our parish clerk, Michelle Touye, that she sent out to the mayors of each municipality in our parish, the city
Each
of
one
Port
of them
Allen.
have a copy of it.
Yes, ma'am. And it's a statement from Dr. Lappinghouse with the Capital Area Human Services Division. I've been in close contact with her, and I've attended a few of those meetings to see if we can improve some of the behavioral health services in our parish. Now, not only for our residents, but for our inmates and them receiving the care and treatment that they need while they're incarcerated with pretrial detainees, to see if they can get the help that they need, and also with our school system. So there's a lot of things that we're working on. We just need to get the support of the municipalities, our school board, our sheriff, and other administrators in our parish. Again, it's not something that I can do by myself. We need help and collaboration with all government officials.
And what you said, what classification with this drug? what's
Schedule
it?
1. Yeah, we're trying to get it classified as a Schedule 1 drug. Schedule 1 drugs are substances or chemicals defined as drugs with no current accepted medical use with a high potential for use. That would be considered a Schedule 1 drug.
And Mr. Walker, I'm all for it because, you know, I haven't dealt with it personally, but I've read some horror stories.
Thank you.
So like Councilwoman Lacy, is how this stuff gets on the shelves, I don't know, but
Right.
I hate to be reactive, but at this point, that's where we are.
Yeah.
That's where we are.
Thank you, Councilman. Again, it's been on my radar for some time, dating back to last year. And again, Ascension Parish adopted an ordinance prohibiting the sale of use, and Rapides adopted an ordinance also. But I think if we proceed with the state with that House bill, it'll be more effective because we can ban it here in West Baton Rouge Parish, but somebody will go to the next parish and purchase it. So we need to move on the state level. And I've been in contact with a number of individuals.
And what is their response to this? How do you think
So we're
they-
gonna have to see how things go when they're in session. I mean, there's gonna be a lot
Because
covered.
they do get money, they get sales, so that's what you're gonna be fighting against, because they get 3%
Yes, ma'am.
sales taxes off of every sale.
Yes, ma'am.
So, you know, that's what you're gonna, your big fight on it.
Yeah. If you guys have any questions, you can contact me at any time. There's a lot of information out there, but I think we should adopt the resolution. I've had positive feedback, again, from the town of Brewery and from the town of Bangs, and I would hope that Port Allen will follow suit. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
Could we vote on it tonight, Mayor?
Want to make a motion to do a resolution?
Yes.
Second.
I got a motion by Mr. Riviere, second by Councilwoman Gordon, to authorize the clerk to entertain a resolution at next meeting in support of this.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's banned.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Ms. Gordon?
Yes.
Mr. Hubble?
Yes.
Ms. Lacy?
Yes.
Mr. Riviere?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Agenda item 7, consider authorizing Mayor to appoint Heather Rossum to the Planning and Zoning Commission to replace Renee Dana. Ms. Dana resigned her position last year, and Ms. Heather submitted a request to be placed on the board. I had a copy of the letter. She's been living in the city, I think, approximately 8 years. She's on several boards with Holy Family Athletic Department and school. And she wants to show her support for the community by being part of the planning and zoning.
She's on the application. She's the only person showing interest in it.
The only one I see the letter from.
Okay.
Can you get a motion by Mr. Riviere, second by Mr. Hubble?
I got a motion by Councilman Riviere, second by Councilwoman Ford.
Mr. Hubble,
Hubble.
second.
It don't matter.
Oh.
Any objection? Hearing none?
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Ms. Gordon?
Yes.
Mr. Hubble?
Yes.
Ms. Lacy?
Yes.
Mr. Riviere?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Did not consider a cooperative endeavor agreement with One Baton Rouge organization in support of Family Day in the Park event scheduled for May 27, 2023.
Joseph, are you speaking on that?
No, I speak on because I didn't know he had to be here. Well, as you all know, that Family Day in the Park has been a part of West Baton Rouge Parish for, I'd say, 13 years now. And they are asking for help with the city because we always cooperate with the city because it is a parish thing and a city. And we just hoping that you all support them again this year. And we are asking for $3,000 or whatever we can get, and then we'll have the invoice for the things that we are asking for you all to pay for. Any questions?
So we'll have the invoices for next month's.
Yes, yes. They're just waiting on the invoice to get in.
Okay.
And I know we had spoke about, like, kind of putting caps on what we'll give to events, but like Charlene said, this is an event that has been long-standing. And Mr. Gordon said that the sponsorships is just kind of low
Right.
this year.
All right, agenda item 9.
Do we have a motion?
Go ahead.
Yeah, we need a motion.
And look, on the same note,
We'll
He's
vote
got,
for the next
he's
month.
got to come with the document.
Oh, okay.
on the same note, for the Heart of Champions Parade. I have listened to the community and the parade, at the parade events that the city put on, we have been generous in definitely spearheading this parade. For the after celebration, I wanted to get entertainment for those young athletes in our community. I have been able to secure funds for this entertainment piece, but right now I'm short of about $800. I do have some people that have dedicated themselves to donate funds, but the artists need to be paid by tomorrow, and I'm just concerned that those donations won't come in time. So I'm asking the council for $800 towards the entertainment for the Heart of Champions
Well,
Parade.
we can't do that, Ms. Lacy, because it's not on the agenda for that, so can't even discuss that now.
We could have just,
It's too late.
the funds are there.
It's not on the agenda for today.
But man, I'm sure we could just, we could make it, if the council wanna move, why can't we do that? Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion, I don't have a problem with it.
Well, Ms. Lacy, I'm gonna ask this question. You saying that you want us to pay $800 or they gonna get the money back?
Ms. Gordon, that's not an agenda item. It's
Okay,
not
then let's just
to be
move
discussed.
then.
But you got a motion on the floor to amend that too?
But I guess we have to amend the budget, amend the agenda for us to make a motion on it.
If y'all pass stuff.
Okay, you make the motion. Somebody second it?
A second.
But we were making a motion in the second for.
To discuss the item.
Can we do that? What the hell is that?
We don't have it in here, so.
You could link to the agenda anytime while you
Yeah.
had this vote.
All right.
I got a motion by Councilman Brown, a second by Councilman Lacy to amend the agenda to discuss funding, activity for
Sunday's event.
champion of the Heart of Champions event.
Okay, since we made this motion, can I ask my question now?
We had passed it.
I'm ready.
Y'all wanna vote? Mr. Brown?
What we voting on to discuss
To
it?
discuss.
Okay, yes.
Ms. Gordon?
Yes.
Mr. Hubble?
Discuss.
Ms. Lacy?
Yes.
Mr. Riviere?
Yes.
Okay, now the discussion.
Okay, Councilwoman Lacy.
Yes, ma'am.
You know where I stand with this. I feel that if the city putting on the parade, the parents in the school should have come in some kind of way to help whatever entertainment they want. I just don't think it's fair for us to always have to be giving them the parade. I don't think it's fair for us to have to pay for the parade and do the entertainment. They all know this is a champion parade, and they know if they want entertainment, the parents want it, and if the community could have came together and helped out with it. You say you're $800 short. Is that means that the commitment of donation is going to be $800 and you're going to reimburse the city back the $800, or what are you asking for?
I'm asking for the 800 that I have not received. I do have, like I say, I do have some dedication for donations that I feel strongly about. I have went out into the community to collect the funds. That's how I was able to get the funds that I have, along with I have went to other leaders. So that's how I was able to secure the funds that I was able to secure, which is over half. And I think that is what we encourage people to do when they come and ask for money. We want to know what have they done first. And I have not only secured that, I also did a good piece in securing the food for the whole community as well as, and that didn't come from the city. So I'm asking the city to help me right now to be able to provide the entertainment based on the fact that I don't have the money and it have to be paid. The artists have to be secured by tomorrow. Now, if the funds come in, we'll be good. But I don't want to be in a position that the money isn't there to be able to pay for the entertainment.
But that's what I'm asking. You saying that the money is coming. So what are you saying? You want us to pick up that $800 and whatever money that you get, you're going to reimburse the city back? Or what? That's what I'm trying to find out.
Yes,
Because you keep
but the
saying
money
that.
don't come to me, it goes to the city. Even the donations, it doesn't come to me. All of the donations come to the city.
Okay, so how much is he asking for?
He asked for $2,500.
Oh, so he's getting to give us the $1,500 deal that he said?
He asked for $2,500.
Well, I know he asked for it, but he said he
Well,
would take
beginning he said he
$1,500.
charged $5,000. He said he don't even come on stage for less than that. But being that I talked to him, we spoke, I told him my passion behind this, he knocked it down half price.
Well, you know, we was in a meeting, he said $1,500, so that's why I was asking, he changed it back to $2,500.
No, he didn't say 50.
Yes, he did, he said $1,500. We always in the meeting, you had no speakerphone.
Miss
You said the list that he would give was $1,500.
He said he would work with us.
With $1,500, yes, that's what I said. And that's what he said. So that's why I was asking, he went back up on his price to $2,500.
He said 25 or what we could have gotten close to that. We put to 1,500 ourselves.
That's what he said, $1,500.
Lance, yeah, your legal opinion, you're familiar with municipal law. We don't have any documentation. Can we even vote on this? I mean, that's.
We don't have an invoice on
That's
it, too.
kind of.
You can authorize a certain amount, but I would say before that amount is actually transferred, you would need an invoice as well as a certified check for the difference from the external funding source to combine to pay the actual total.
How much is the city?
Put forth already?
For the Heart of Champions?
Yes.
I think we have received an invoice for $5,400 for floats. I just got them today. $5,400 for floats, $700 for insurance, and $250 for a DJ. That's all I've seen so far.
And we're paying for the trophies.
I hadn't seen that
And
invoice yet,
decorations.
but as of now, we at what, 6350.
I know, I did get a check from Councilwoman Dansker today, and I know I was supposed to go pick up one from Mr. Clayton's office. They called me, and I just didn't get a check where to get it from. So I guess all of that would go toward the entertainment. I don't know what it goes toward.
You know, we still have to pay for other stuff for the family day, championship.
It's not like these funds, they're not allocated for already. And think about it, the funds that we didn't use last year for the parade, it goes right back into the general fund, so it's not like we even used that. If we could keep our funds that we have over from the last year, then maybe we wouldn't be in this problem, but that's just not how it works. So we back to having to always ask.
I mean, could it be that we, to me, well, just real quick, that we've maybe we overdid it? Tell me, sorry.
And look, this may be way out of line, but, we appreciate the opportunity to work in the city, and with a lot of our other clients, we want to participate in the community, and we certainly don't have a problem making a commitment to make up that $800 difference. I mean, I can't do it all the time, but I can certainly make that call, so.
Well, thank you.
I can get you a check tomorrow, and you just try to make it out.
Okay, thank you so
Did it
much.
pour down?
Yeah, there you go.
See, there you go. Thank you.
Thank you.
Like you do.
Next.
I appreciate the offer, Mr. Adcock with PEC Engineering. Agenda 99, consider introduction of an ordinance to provide for the adoption of all budgets for the city of Port Island for the 2023-2024 fiscal year. It's time.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. In your packet, you have about a 35-page document, which is the draft of your 2024 budget. If you look on page 3 of that document, basically outlines just sort of major assumptions and events. From a timeline point of view, tonight's just simply an introduction. So the first draft, between me and the mayor and your staff, we've gone through a number of versions. And so tonight's the actual draft introduction. You wouldn't be asked to vote on it at the earliest would be your May 10th meeting. So just about a month away. But obviously any questions or concerns, you can share that throughout the month as we get closer to an adoption day. Well, we will move forward with a public announcement or public notice that's required by state law. So that's just sort of the normal protocol. But overall, this page and the following two is where I wanted to sort of go over some high-level stuff with you. Looking at overall revenues, just north of $10 million projected for next year. About 3.7 of that is sales tax, with about $600,000 in property tax, which is pretty comparable to where you're projected to finish this year. I will tell you that it's lower than what you experienced last fiscal year, so just really kind of scaling back the resources so that you can set a budget that's conservative, and if you exceed the number, then it's sort of in your bank account. Utility revenue right at about $4.1 million, just up slightly over 23. And then the remaining revenue is just fees, licensing, fine, grants. Those things are all pretty much in line with what you've historically collected. ARPA funding, this was the last year. 2023 was the last year of getting that bucket of dollars. So in 2024, we don't have that budgeted. The tranche that we received this year was right at about $877,000. So 2 years of that, but that is now gone. From an expense point of view, and I'm going to show you a schedule in a moment to kind of walk you through kind of how everything lines up. But expenses projected about $11.2 million, with about 1.5 of that in capital outlay. And that schedule's about the fourth page from the back of your packet. General fund, general administration, about $1,469,000. That's up slightly over last year, about $17,000, or this fiscal year, $17,000. Police at about just $2,048,000. That's up just over $100,000. $1.3 million in drainage is up about $76,000. Sanitation, $600,000. That's pretty comparable to 2023. And then about $2.7 million in utility expenses, so that's up slightly, about $25,000. It does leave you with a net deficit of about $1.1 million, but that includes about $1.5 million in capital outlay, which is sort of driving the number. And as I'll show you in a minute, your net operating surplus is about $420,000. Next couple of the next data really gets into some of the fund detail. Your general fund revenues, pretty much maintaining those pretty consistently with where you've historically been and where you're projecting to be in 2023. Sales tax estimates, as I mentioned earlier, consistent with this year, but below where you've been, so that's sort of just being conservative. Obviously, it's something you got to monitor. It's been really doing well, so yes, those things. Sales tax can be a roller coaster. Property tax millage is estimated pretty much in line with where you've actually collected this year, so no major increases with that. And then your franchise tax is pretty much same, levelized funding. You see the departments. The big thing is just budgeting in a salary adjustment. Did exclude the elected officials, but did put a COLA in for that. Road and drainage, pretty much operations remaining pretty steady. Kept that road project money in, just over $400,000 set aside for that. And then capital outlay in the general fund right at about $907,000. So leaving that fund with a deficit of about $587, but what's driving that is you got about $900,000 in capital outlay if you decide to do that. Next page, water and gas. Overall revenues up slightly over 2023, just anticipating you consider a rate increase, which you've just normally done. Realize it's not every year, but just something for you to consider. Salaries projected to increase for a cost of living adjustment, similar to the general fund. Other costs pretty much remaining pretty flat. Does leave a small deficit of about $28,000 with no capital outlay. Did budget that area to be somewhat conservative on sales. As you look at some past years, the amount of gas revenue you've had has been higher. Just projecting that your gas costs may come down, but kind of sort of hit the middle of the trends for the last couple of years. Hard to predict what natural gas is going to sell for. So that sort of makes the budget part sort of hard to predict. Sewer overall revenues up slightly compared to 2023. No ARPA money in this fund for this coming year, but do have operational expenses slightly lower with some capital outlay when you take that out. But net deficit of about $502,000 with $630,000 in capital outlay. And then the other two funds, your debt service with the City Hall Municipal Complex, and you have one of your grants that's pretty much comparable to where you've historically been. And then I want to show you on the next page a schedule I added to your normal budget presentation. Normally when you look at kind of how you're finishing up on the bottom line, just you can see, as I mentioned earlier, your net surplus deficit is right at about $1,116,000. And so just wanted to look at it in different buckets. One, carving out with one-time sort of capital outlay spending is, it's a big number, $1,537,000. So if you were to back that out, that third column from your left is the one that's sort of important to me. Is are your operating revenues and operating expenses, in a proper place? And so this is showing me that you would project an operating surplus of about $420,000, which is pretty comfortable. The next column really relates to your utility funds, and here just depreciation expense is something that's not necessarily a check you're going to write. But an expense we do recognize for budgeting purposes. But if you add that back, sort of tells me your operating cash surplus would approach $750,000, which is pretty good. And so that doesn't pay for all the capital outlay expenditures, but it pays for about half. And so you would be using some cash reserves if you move forward with all those capital outlay items. But the third column from the left is the one that we really focused on, that, you know, whatever we're taking in on an annual basis, our expenses are somewhat comfortable compared to that. The rest of the budget document, you know, gives you just the summary for 2023, which is listed as page 1 and 2 in the top right-hand corner. It sort of gives you the idea of where you may finish. Page 3 and 4 is the numbers I've been talking to. So this would be the actual ordinance you'd be adopting next month, which would be the 2024 budget. And then as you get past those 2 pages, you get into the general, the fund details. So your general fund, your water, gas, your sewer, and then the other 2 smaller funds. But it gives you all the details of what revenues to expect, what expenditures are being budgeted. And then the last couple of schedules at the back of the document gives you your capital outlay expenditures in terms of what's anticipated, and then what your salary load is going to be per person, per department, and projected benefits. So a lot of data to digest. Appreciate that. So tonight's just simply for you to consider introduction of it, so you can go through your normal budget process. Realize that's a lot.
Any questions for Tom? Entertain the motion?
Second.
Motion by Councilman Brown, second by Councilwoman Gordon. Any objections? Hearing none?
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Ms. Gordon?
Yes.
Mr. Hubble?
Yes.
Ms. Lacy?
Yes.
Mr. Riviere?
Yes.
Motion passes, Mayor.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Agenda item 10, consider pay application for sewer rehabilitation project, partially funded with the Louisiana State Budget Appropriation and the ARPA funds. Is that all?
Thank you, Mayor, Council. I just went over this a little bit in the committee meeting. Essentially what, there's actually 3 documents, but I think you can really kind of, because they're all connected, you could hopefully do them all at once. Essentially, they're complete, so we need to authorize substantial completion. And then we talked about the difference in, they did more work, and so there's a change order for that amount. And then lastly is the pay application, which is actually the original amount plus the additional work. The pay application is in the amount of $291 to $230.10. That still leaves you with their retainage, which of course they won't get till after they file for their clear lien certificate. The retainage is $15,327.90. So I think you can approve all at once.
So the, Mayor, you did get the photos, the pictures that you.
Oh, I got more than I need.
Yeah, I apologize. I should have said that. Yeah, they provided what we needed, and they're also beginning to remove their dirt and rocks and separate it, and the city's making a decision if they want to keep it or take it away.
Move.
Second.
I got a motion by Councilman Riviere, second by Councilwoman Lacy. Any objections? Hearing none?
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Hubble? Mr. Gordon? Ms. Gordon? Mr. Hubble?
Yes.
Ms. Lacy?
Yes.
Mr. Riviere?
Yes.
Motion passes, Mayor.
Thank you. Agenda item 11, consider approving the bid presented by Barbier Brothers for Phase 11 of 2023 road rehabilitation project. Mr. Cummings?
Yes, sir, Mayor and Council. This is another one we talked about a little in the committee meeting. We got 3 bids for the road program, and Barber Brothers was low in the amount of $357,780. Of course, Barber Brothers is one of the oldest road contractors in the state. I think they're getting ready to celebrate their 95th anniversary. So they're reputable. We recommend that y'all award the project to Barber Brothers in that amount.
Move.
Second.
I got a motion by Councilman Riviere, second by Councilman Brown. Any objections? Any public wish to be heard? Hearing none.
Brown,
Yes.
Ms. Gordon,
Yes.
Hubble,
Yes.
Ms. Lacy.
Yes.
Mr. Riviere.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
Agenda item 12, consider authorizing Mayor Lee to approve a 2% pay increase for Teresa Pearson on the anniversary of her 5-year employment. And her 5 years is today. And all employees are entitled to a one-step increase. Teresa currently is the administrative coordinator at the Department of Public Works building on 14th Street.
Second.
I got a motion by Councilman Brown, second by Councilwoman Lacy. Any objections? Anyone from the public wish to be heard? Hearing none?
Mr. Brown,
Yes.
Ms. Gordon,
Yes.
Mr. Hubble,
Yes.
Ms. Lacy.
Yes.
Mr. Riviere.
Yes.
Motion passes, Mayor.
Thank you. Agenda item 13, consider authorizing Mayor Lee to advertise for the following positions: meter reader and pipe fitter. Council, both, we had promoted one of the employees from roads and drainage to take over the vacancy last year for a meter reader, and he suddenly resigned. So now we have an open position again, so I would like to go ahead and advertise for that particular position. Also, we discussed a couple months ago with the sewer department about hiring a person to help them with the installation of piping, which Mr. Bradford mentioned that his employees weren't, that wasn't in their job description, so I'm entertaining a vacancy for both positions at this particular time.
Mayor, I just want to say something, and I know that both of these positions need to be filled, but I do have a problem when you hire new workers and they start out making more than the ones that been there, instead of moving them up to the position that you're asking for and start the ones that you starting off on one-on-one. Just like this guy you just hired last week. You skipped him all the way one-on-one because you said he know how to do a work the zero turnaround. Nobody else know how to work the machine?
Nobody ever wanted the position. It was offered to 2 guys that was in labor one that turned it down.
But you're still putting him ahead of everybody else.
I
No one
think-
is starting down at the low. So what made him more qualified for him not to do 101 and you skipped him all the way up to 108? So what made him more qualified than the others? That's what I'm asking.
Because he has experience of operating a zero turn board.
It's a lawnmower. No,
Well,
no.
it is.
So we have a lawnmower zero turn. No one else don't know how to work that zero turn, but the new guy that you just hired.
That's correct.
I don't do that because I see some of them on zero turn now working it. So
Well, maybe you need to be in my position, Ms. Gordon.
well, I don't have to be in your position to ask you a question because it's not true that you did not have no one to work a zero turn because
Mr. Gordon,
it's not true.
Tell me who the person you talking about that wants that position.
I'm quite. Ain't nobody don't want the position, but I'm just asking you.
Okay,
Did
then-
you ask them? You know.
Yes, ma'am. I had
But
two
so,
in-
but you put them
Only-
up for a zero turn. I mean, come on, Mayor. It's just a lawnmower that you turn around. What's so hard and difficult with that? I don't think it's fair to the others that you hire somebody that just come in and get more money, get paid more than them. And these boys been here, but we love our employee. That's why we can't keep them because we're not being fair to them.
You finished, Ms. Gordon?
If you want me to,
No, if you want to.
but you're not answering my question.
You didn't give me a chance. And I told you exactly what happened. I had a position open for a labor 2, which operates a zero turn mower, and I hired a guy as a labor 2 operator. It's just that simple.
So we got a groundkeeper now. We just have one groundkeeper for the city of Port Allen.
Right now.
So we got one guy to keep the whole city of Port Allen clean. I'm just asking the question.
Ms. Gordon, I have 9 guys in business drainage. All of them do the same job.
But they're not all not getting paid the same. This guy here just got here and he upscaled against the ones that been here. I'm just saying, let's just be fair to our workers, that's all. That's why they leaving, because we're not being fair to them.
Once again, Ms. Gordon, the position was offered to two guys that was already here, and they turned it down. Okay?
That's what you say.
And I don't know, what is the difference between job descriptions for labor one and labor two?
Labor one is basically your grass cutting, weed eating, edging, picking up trash.
Okay.
And,
Excuse me, go ahead.
and your labor two is basically your mowers,
So nobody labor two already can't work the zero turn.
labor two are your lawnmowers. All the guys that operate the lawnmowers.
So they're doing labor two.
Yeah, and also they also install drainage pipes and they assist the roads and drainage crew with laying pipes down. They maintain and repair treatment, plant equipment. They operate power mowers, edgers, clippers, blowers, handheld tools.
That's what the groundkeeper do too?
You want to read the groundkeeper?
Yeah, because I know we had a groundkeeper. I'd rather be a groundkeeper for 107A.
Groundkeeper assists in maintenance and repairs of playgrounds and ball fields, which we don't have, other than the 14th Street Park and Centennial Park. They mow, water, place sides, rake, trim hedges, clean restrooms, pick up trash, litter, operate tractors, mowers, edges, saws, clippers, other hand tools, and maintenance.
So they just want one guy to do all that? One worker to do all that?
It's a position that's going.
But I can't see how one person can just do all that, man. If that's a position that you created,
Ms.
seem like
Gordon,
you should have to.
all these guys work in roads and drainage, all that in titles, the same thing. And as they progress, they learn from others to move into these other positions. They start off as a labor one and they work their way up. Okay? There was a position for labor two. I had two guys turn it down. Mr. Joseph can attest to that.
Well, I'm
Said
just
they
saying.
didn't want.
So,
So there's nothing I can do about it. So when the position came available, I moved somebody up because I got 5 mowers, only got 4 operators.
So, Mayor, you're saying labor two, the labor two job, the ones who had labor two, you offered them the job, and they didn't
The
want
one
it.
that labor one was offered a job at labor 2 that operate more.
And they didn't, the job is a higher paying job, and it's still doing the same thing they doing, and they
No,
didn't-
they was weed eating and edging.
and now they just have to use the,
That's all we can do.
they don't know how to use the no turn or the,
Right. They're not trying to do that.
oh, well, they could have been offered the job anyway, if they don't know how to do it, and that's a job.
They were offered the job.
But
They
I'm
turned it
saying,
down.
but they don't know how to, they only know how to weed, they don't know how to use that piece of equipment you're talking about.
They could have been trained.
They can be trained, anybody be trained to cut grass. Yeah, big deal.
They turned it down, they didn't want the training, obviously.
Obviously.
But they want to complain about not making, I don't know.
They might not be the ones.
They're not complaining, I'm just looking at the pay scale. I mean, you know, when we just hired someone because he know how to do a zero turn, and I just feel that all these other guys that been here, I know they could be able to do it. Just
And
looking
if
over
they
them.
If they turn it down, then
Well, I mean, if they turn it down, there's nothing we can do about it. But I'm just saying, you know, I know some of them maybe wanted it. I don't know.
Well, Ms. Gordon,
maybe some of them should have took it.
Ms. Gordon.
Exactly.
And this is the reason why when they turn it down, I told them to put it in writing. And
Okay,
if you want to see the letters in writing, I'll give them to you.
okay.
All right.
I'd like to see.
Okay. Anything else?
I'm over.
got a motion by Councilman Riviere, second by Councilwoman Lacy. Anyone from the public wish to be heard on this agenda item? Hearing none?
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Gordon?
Yes.
Mr. Hubble?
Yes.
Ms. Lacy?
Yes.
Mr. Riviere?
Yeah.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Agenda item 14, public hearing to obtain views on the consideration of an ordinance to increase the budget in roads and drainage department utilize the excess road rehabilitation appropriation to fund additional costs of a John Deere 310 SL backhoe ordered in the 2021-2022 budget year, increasing the original cost by $43,000. Anyone from the public wish to be heard on this agenda item? Is open to the public. No one wishes to be heard. Close the public hearing. Agenda item 15, consider approving an ordinance to increase the budget in the roads and drainage department utilizing the excess road rehabilitation appropriation to fund additional costs of a John Deere 310 SL backhoe ordered in the 2021-2022 budget year, increase the original cost by $43,000. Total $146,000. Ms. Rochelle?
Ordinance number 4 of 2023, an ordinance to increase the budget in roads and drainage in the city of Port Allen utilizing the excess road rehabilitation appropriations to fund additional costs of a John Deere 310 SL backhoe ordered in 2021-2022 budget year, increasing the original cost by $43,000 to $146,000 and related matters.
Got a motion by Councilman Brown, second by Councilwoman Lacy. Anyone from the public wish to be heard? Hearing none?
Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Ms. Gordon?
Yes.
Mr. Hubble?
Yes.
Ms. Lacy?
Yes.
Mr. Riviere?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Then item 16, public hearing to obtain views to consider the adoption of an ordinance of the city of Port Allen providing funding for the remaining of the 2022-2023 fiscal year for the position of superintendent of public works position as approved by the special meeting of the city council held on January 26, 2023. Floor is open to anyone from the public. Anyone from the public wish to be heard on this agenda item? No response. Closing the public hearing. Agenda item 17, consider the adoption of an ordinance of the city of Port Allen providing funding for the remaining of the 2022-2023 fiscal year for the position of superintendent of public works as approved at the special meeting held on January 26, 2023 at a total cost of $9,526. Ms. Rochelle?
Ordinance number 5 of 2023, an ordinance of the city of Port Allen providing an increase in the funding for the remainder of the 2022-2023 fiscal year budget for the position of superintendent of public works as approved at the special meeting held on January 26, 2023 at a total cost of $9,526 and to provide for related matters.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilman Riviere, second by Councilwoman Lacy. Anyone from the public wish to be heard on this agenda item? Hearing none?
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Ms. Gordon?
Yes.
Mr. Hubble?
Yes.
Ms. Lacy?
Yes.
Mr. Riviere?
Yes.
Motion passes.
We do need to do some spell checks on some of these
Number
things.
14 and number 12, I think we had no problem. We were in a hurry trying to get it done. I got some record by my problematic.
I even adjusted to it. The training, the person,
It's working.
Thank you, Mr.
I
Hubble.
guess some
Yeah.
classes coming in from late.
You can't be doing this at 5:15.
Agenda item 18, consider authorizing the recommendation for promotions by Chief Hicks for the following employees. Lieutenant Casey Williams to captain as Def 118, grade B. Sergeant Donovan Mitchell, lieutenant as Def 116, grade A. And Sergeant Kendra Wisham to lieutenant at step 116, grade B. Chief?
Good evening, how y'all doing?
Okay.
Before we get started, I placed a copy of a letter that I received this morning from Lieutenant Dawson from the West Baton Rouge Sheriff's Office. Letter of accommodation for 3 of my guys, Officer Ahmed, Officer Adrian McNeely, and Officer James Elliott. I would like to take this opportunity to personally thank the above listed officers in their taking part in apprehending the Walmart bandits. For several weeks, there was a crew that had stolen several thousands of dollars in merchandise from our local Walmart. While patrolling, I jumped 2 of the men in which they ran. The listed officers of your agency came into action. They demonstrated integrity, great police skills in apprehending one of the suspects. Each of them are examples of how the departments working together can make our parish and your city a better place to live. Again, thanks for their help for our community in the West Baton Rouge Sheriff's Office. It is truly an honor to serve alongside these officers. Sincerely, Lieutenant Donald Dawson, West Baton Rouge Sheriff's Office.
Congratulations. These 3 officers that I personally met, that I've gotten to know, and we have built quite a relationship, and I really appreciate them for their service in the community, and they do represent the Port Allen Police Department well.
They do an outstanding job, Last week, I brought in front of the council 3 promotions to Lieutenant Casey Williams, the captain, Sergeant Donovan Mitchell, the lieutenant, and Sergeant Kendrick Wisham, the lieutenant. Williams, Mitchell, and Wisham has displayed outstanding work. I think they are deserving of these promotions. They served 2 years as policy and procedure states that they have to do 2 years in that position in order to be promoted, and they have completed that.
Congratulations too. Motion.
Do we have to vote on them individually or
It's up to you. You can do them in global.
global?
Okay.
I move.
Second.
I got a motion by Councilman Riviere, second by Councilman Brown to approve these in global. Anyone from the public wish to be heard on these agenda items? No one wish to be heard?
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Ms. Gordon?
Yes.
Mr. Hubble?
Yes.
Ms. Lacy?
Yes.
Mr. Riviere?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Chief.
Thank you, Chief.
Agenda item 19, condemnation proceedings.
None at this time, I'll say.
Agenda item 20, alcoholic beverage permits.
We have one application for consideration. It's for the location known as the New Roadrunner Cafe. It's changed owners, and while her last advertisement in the West Side Journal will be presented tomorrow, or we publish tomorrow, I did tell her that I would present it to the council tonight, so that she wouldn't have to wait another month. They meet all the other requirements. I'm sorry?
Who's the owner?
Roadrunner 3.0.
Which-
Danielle Worthy.
Danielle Worthy.
Daniel Worthy?
Worthy, yes. Operating as Rule 103.
I move.
Second.
I got a motion by Councilman Riviere, second by Councilwoman Gordon. Any objections? Anybody wish to be heard on this agenda item? Hearing none?
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Ms. Gordon?
Yes.
Mr. Hubble?
Yeah.
Ms. Lacy?
Yes.
Mr. Riviere?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Agenda item 21, announcements and correspondence. I have one. As everybody know, we got the Hall of Champions Parade Sunday, April 16th at 1 p.m. and we'll start here at City Hall. It will go east on Court Street to 14th Street, turn north, go to Georgia Street, go east on Georgia to 10th Street, north on 10th to Louisiana, and west on Louisiana to 14th Street, south on 14th Street to Eddie Payne, and then east on 14th to
North
William Lee Park, where they will have the ceremony after the parade to recognize our athletes. both the women's powerlifting team, the girls powerlifting team, and the boys 4-time repeat basketball state champions. We invite everyone from the public to attend and welcome everybody to have a good time. It appears that the weather will cooperate, and we want to thank Mr. Erico for his donation. PEC Engineering. Also, we have our municipal day event at the state capitol. Latter part of this month in April.
25th, right?
Yeah, 25th, Tuesday, 25th, and you meet at the Brown Plaza, and then the bus will take you to the state capitol to meet and greet with the state legislators, your representatives. And then afterwards, they have a crawfish boil at Drusilla's. Other than that, I don't have any other announcements. Unless someone else has something they want to share. If not, we'll go to agenda item 22, adjourn.
I make a motion. Motion.
Motion by Councilwoman Gordon, second by Councilman Brown. Meeting adjourned.